Hi everyone, I'm TB-rsa. I would like to take just a minute of your lifetime by outlining my view on radical change or economic transformation as it now referred. Amazingly, the people who will benefit from the concept of black people are so skeptical, asking themselves what, where, when, who and how will this unfold. My fellow brother or sister, I know you are one of the skeptical ones, so lean back and watch this to the finish. Don't be in a hurry, relax. This is a harsh statement I'm going to give you. If you have an anger problem, drink suppressors. If you have a hypertension issues, do so too. This is for the parliamentarians and NCOP to decide. Well, my friend, what you can do is to vote. And I'm not going to say much about voting now. I have no interest in politics. My interest is in motorsport and multimedia productions. However, by this set, I aim to address the issue of transformation and change. For sake of me, you and our kids to excel in what they believe in than spend their lifetime thinking of what Pixel Isagakaseme and Sol Plaque was thinking instead of living their life to their full potential. Do you know and recognize your child's potential? Did he or she know or recognize what he or she is capable of? Or you are solely worried that he or she must get a job one day? By the way, what is your potential? Yours is suppressed by economic inequality. I would like to say that Parliament and media, in a nutshell, let me say ANC had always and will still continue to feed people by the same data and sentiment like Sharpeville massacre or mostly yearly calendar events and haphazardly deal with the matters as they arise from the fighters. By the way, fighter is anyone who feels effect of inequality. I'm not an EFF card member, however, I like its manifesto, as it sounds to be hovering on economic transformation to emancipate the masses from modern slavery. As from 1900, a lot has happened that the fighters have fought against in this country, and the fight is still on, radical and intense, intensified by money laundering and racketeering. Socio-economic equality is made to be a way of life by the elite. Defiance campaign is June 1952. I started by saying a lot has happened. I chose the pinnacle revolutionary movement defiance campaign of apartheid era, Hendrik Verwoerd's legacy. By the way, allow me to insult your senses because you may know better than me in this field. This was the time at which the fighters made a pledge to fight unjust laws. ANC of then, the South African Indian Congress and South African Coloured Congress came head to head to fight inequality through non-violent marches, and yet they were tortured, brutally attacked by the police of the then government. Not meaning the current police system and the policing is good. No. At the time, thousands were arrested. Meanwhile, for your information, the white people were celebrating Jan van Riebeck's centenary. And later, the icons and the leadership of the said parties were trialed. Bram Fischer as a legal rep. Convicts, Dr. James Moroka, ANC President. Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, Malvi Chachalia, Yusuf Dadoo, President of Indian Congress, and other patriots. Now ask, can we also come with a concrete movement that can overturn and bury inequality? Dr. Z.K. Matthews came with a great idea that a lot of Africanists doesn't agree upon, among those Robert Sobuk. And I'm not going to say much about the great teacher, however, he was about Africa for Africans. No touch. Freedom Charter. In 1953, Professor Z.K. Matthews came with the idea to form a Congress of People, which ANC, SAIC and SACC could not turn a blind eye on its mission of drafting the Freedom Charter. Freedom Charter is so beautifully crafted and its corpuses have a global impact. The Charter is so great, even to this day, its corpuses are so immaculate alongside its predecessor's Constitution of 96 and many other charters or referendums. The clause in the Freedom Charter, everyone who lives in it, is the killer. This is the part that today and in future will still cause a blackout. This is the part that makes many of us to say Mandela is a sellout. Why? We fail to locate our roots. My friend, white people arrived way back, followed by the Indians, and took over wherever they saw fit for themselves. Now, white people of then took over our heritage, cultural ways, and imposed their monopolistic way of life, which the white people of today enjoy the benefits thereof. I therefore say to you, Mandela sold nothing. He was just like me and you. He arrived late at the party. By the time of Mandela, blacks, white minority, Indians and colored were all having common challenges. However, blacks were victims and victimized. I personally have no problem with white people, Indian people and colored people. However, these three kind, somehow, somewhere, somewhat, have a problem living with a black person. Look at your area or environment. It is clear, and how we socialize at our working places. Marginalization is rife. They don't like it if you happen to stay or live with them. But because you have money, they have no choice. Freedom Charter is made with black hardships in mind, so its corpuses speak to us, then the rest. Let me not be afraid to say so, then the rest, in no order. However, we are so entrenched in a struggle, blind to see and use this guideline set in the Charter to emancipate ourselves from revolutionized slavery. It will be a disgrace to Professor Matthews to find that since inception of COP idea in Craddock is still to this day nowhere near urbanized. Claptown, June 1955, Freedom Charter was adopted as a framework upon which the black people and the disadvantaged minorities will implement so-called radical transformation to emancipate the black people and them from slavery. I think this is still the movement that if all can pledge, we can overturn the wrath of inequality. Implementation of Freedom Charter have been suppressed by the Constitution of '96 and other charters to carry out its mandate full stop. Constitution, it talks of a person or a group to be responsible with no authority. The indigenous people and their ways of life of this country are not recognized by the Constitution of '96. The elite has imposed their way of life in the Constitution and stripped us from our heritage, culture, and beliefs. Freedom Charter guidelines needed to be implemented. However, the ANC at the Parliament, National Council of Province, including SCOPA and other legislative councils, have been presenting ideas year in, year out to each other, voting for petitions, budgets that has no impact to transformation economically. I've been watching Parliamentary Service channel throughout this year. What I have learned is that the implementation of radical transformation is just a notion that is spoken about speaker by speaker and the stakeholders. EFF formation has shaken up and shaped a new ground and a way forward for ANC. Let me vent for a moment. ANC. This organization got to stop existence altogether, for its purpose has been fulfilled. This organization is now harboring the elites, and anyone who thinks of rising within this organization will be regarded as such. The organization is weary. It can no longer bear the pressure that comes with the evolution. I speak of elites. These are the people that put their interest first. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, an elite. Cyril Ramaphosa, Marikana, an elite. This is enough for me to say ANC should cease existence, and any of these two to be our president and lead this country. ANC speak of white monopoly capital just to mesmerize us. Out of context mention radical economic transformation, forgetting that they are all about NDP. Mr. Nechitenza says white monopoly capital is a global phenomenon. He is very right in a global context. White people are owning this earth, and that is legacy of their forefathers. However, I'm not supporting his statement of then and now. The guy is an elite who shy away for not losing what he has, because it is all unfair and irrelevant to say white instead of saying black and white monopoly capital. There are a lot of black monopoly capitalists here in this country out of ANC under the tender system and a BEE scam who are really worried as I speak that they are in the verge of losing somewhere somehow if ANC can fall. Let me tell you all, ANC leaders and their dependents are all elites. Anyone who is rising from the ANC will be regarded as such. ANC has to be commemorated nationwide with its colors that we are even not aware what are they for. Gold for riches, green for land, black for black people. Not to be used anywhere in this country all at once. ANC problems, SAA, ESCOM, Sanral, Transnet, Reserve Bank, Gupta's, Zuma's corrupt legacy cannot be solved other than it really dissolves. DA. DA is an alliance made of coconuts, whites, Indians, coloreds. This group I mentioned here doesn't have and will never have, doesn't know and will never know struggle. I know you are going like, it's okay. Have you ever seen or hear that white and Indian people in South Africa are picketing for what have them they want and they are blaming ANC? Never. Indians, they don't even have political party that I know that you may now say that I'm offline. So for South Africa to be under DA, it is a disgrace to the great South Africans who has passed on fighting for inequality. Because DA will never and doesn't have that values to bring about equality in any aspect, that of economy and human rights. Therefore, I wish to say DA should remain the opposition party of majority for some time. EFF. EFF is the movement that I pledged to coconuts, whites, Indians, and colors to join come 2019. However, I want to say to Malema and EFF cadres, ka kopo tshwarang le tish. Nyacha molala ikwela molale. EFF wouldn't be the first party trying to remove ANC out of power. The masses are stuck in the colors, plus they feel like they won't be alive if the Tule House be closed down. So I don't want to say 2019 is far. That is the most anticipated periodic calendar date in waiting. So South Africans have ample time to weigh up things. On Power FM show, you said you were lied to by the leaders of ANC then. And I would like to say you are medicine. Regardless, you created a massive movement that you should keep fit because it will make a change that this world will feel the impact. I would like to salute you for all the moment you stood in front of the cameras and stand your ground on the way forward about this country and its contents. However, I want to point out that on Sapoa conference you were so sympathetic. I quote, "We're gonna take the land and give it back." And I was like, really? You are lying. No one will be sent to the shores, but the land must be taken to its entirety. During the Power FM show, President Mbeki said the urban land should be taken and referred to Mahoba's land debacle. I was like, really? Urban? No. Land to its entirety, to be taken back, Mr. Mbeki. During media brief at Bramfontein, you cried how expensive court battles are. And I was like, really, do you now want the elite to fund you and divert you from digging deep? Or do you want the Free State Council to represent you? No, I don't think so. Later, Mkitama with his household name Absolute surfaces the quips that you are now bowing down to Rupert. I wish to say to you that stop digging, we don't want any more discoveries. Sit down and plan for 2019 way forward. Draft working policies from endeavors that have been held in this country, envisaging 2019 and beyond. And don't copy anything from NDP. Now, the charter says, the people shall govern. All along, people were not governing. They voted the party or a person in power, and that's it. Let me start by saying that we have national level, provincial level, local level. People are at the local level. At the local level, governance is where action takes place. However, the connection between these levels and the people is so broken. The petition can be passed at the parliament or project implemented without a depth knowledge of the society concerned. For instance, 2019 come election campaign, I tell you there will be gigantic color selfie posters of political leaders everywhere in the area where you live. However, projects are being implemented in our area without our knowledge. I've never seen a flyer, gigantic or small, that says Community of Kailicha meeting of the said date at so and so location and the time to discuss 1, 2, 3. Never. However, the only poster and a flyer I frequently see is of ministry crusade and that of picnics. I used to haphazardly see and hear a vehicle passing on the road the day prior to the meeting, announcing the meeting for what and when it passed. I didn't hear, and it doesn't matter, I won't be here, I'm renting anyway. And claim that the people are getting the message. They are not. People must start to understand that they are government and in power. The people in parliament are all there because of us, so we can elect or remove them at any time if needs be. People must understand they have a mandate to implement or stop any project that is set in their area or in the country without their knowledge. You wake up and see a contractor clear up the site and ask, what is happening? We are building a shopping complex. Why shopping complex instead of a comprehensive recreational center? People are not governing and are not made aware that they are governing. People don't care about minister posts profile or their delegates. People want to be part of the socio-economic development, and this had to happen transparently. All national groups shall have equal rights. This is no longer about apartheid or unjust laws, but undisputed racism. You know, racism is within the race itself. Let me say this, Indian race cannot tolerate African, white or Asian race to be part of its race. No. Now, with the rainbow tag, people tend to blindfold themselves and expect unexpected. Indians, I think, are arch racists. However, are cool about it and don't show it like the whites, as they are well-known drop-dead racists. I've been places and came across racism acts from all these groups, so I'm of the opinion that it's not about the supremacy or what have you, it's about the race. Whites, Indians and colored people don't want to rub shoulders with the black people, but are keen to exploit the black person, and still we are blind to acknowledge the fact. I wish to say that government should not fight racism by forcing the racists to accept and offer us jobs and opportunities. No. The black people got to be empowered at all costs by any means and stop chasing after Mlungu. The Mlungu thing must come to an end, because I don't see any good that made our black people to give white people the name Mlungu. The people shall share in the country's wealth. Crux of the matter that the politicians, the legislative sphere, and any other person or organization has failed to come forth to address it. This matter doesn't need us to refer to Aristotle's writing to work it out. It is crystal clear. Nationalization. I support EFF manifesto. People is all about manifesto. EFF manifesto is on point. Nationalization and expropriation without compensation. Compensation to who? NDP of ANC is the same as the Constitution of 96. They are defeating the ends of freedom chart. There is no way the restoration can happen if it's not by expropriation. Then that will be negotiation, of which that is no longer a route. I see ANC and minorities are bubbling over this matter of nationalization and expropriation, trying to work it out now. I say no to the recent annual SAPOA meeting and ANC 5-day policy briefing trying to advance their trailing NDP, which is even first time I hear about it this year. I say no to whatever they are saying, and EFF to stand its ground. Mines got to be expropriated without compensation and be nationalized, regardless of the manner in which they were obtained or operating. And regardless of this recent mine charter by Msebenzi Zwane, they got to belong entirely to the country and contribute hugely to the economy of this country, not corporates. The major banks of South Africa, excluding Capitec, or any other bank that can be established in this democratic era, to be nationalized, and Capitec to be assisted by the state to expand and continue to serve the less fortunate. The major banks are to be nationalized because they are holding the black people hostage. Yes, hostage. 80% of black South Africans are tied to one of the major banks on home loans. 50% is obviously on RDP. 5% is those who are fortunate enough. Black people are working and enriching the banks instead of working for themselves and their families. It's about time the government scrape off all the bonds for the middle class. Yes, scrape off. For all those who earn less than 20,000. Excluding those tied down for personal and business loans. Middle class are being tied down, worse now by elites who buy sites that are eligible for expropriation, clears them up and build malls or tiny houses worse than some of the RDPs and charge 600,000 for 2 bedrooms, which takes lifetime of repayment. The public servants and other workers in different sectors in urban areas are homeless or tied down to one of our major banks. The aim of nationalization will be solely to emancipate the black people from these bond shackles. Looking at the way and the future of the black person will forever be a slave of a bank or just live in oblivion. And that is making it impossible for a black person to live life to its maximum. Instead, we are dealing with the bond repayment and other brokerage schemes. In addition to that, the taxi business has forever flourished as it the main source of transportation that average black person is inclined to support. Consumer Protection Act failed dismally, I guess, to deal fiercely with the monopolistic acts of this nature. And nature how businesses and opportunities are conducted in this country, not only in Sandton. The tender system, which was and is the biggest scam that the taxpayer have to deal with since its inception. Elites are born and made out of this system that created a new imbalance as elites empower themselves. Government fails to deliver services and above all to utilize the people to administer the resources. There is no difficulty to build a nation on a state-controlled resources, whereby a Department of Public Works employ workers that are working for it than outsourcing for tender system. Tender system may be relevant if we buy something that we have no capability to manufacture, of which that too is stupid, as by now, since the death of the great Thomas Sankara, most African nations were supposed to have industries that can sustain themselves with basic life manufacturing. Let's refrain from working on Canadian, American or Chinese models, or stuck on René Descartes and Karl Marx theories, or refer to Robert Mugabe for reference. Let's develop our own model. Tender system was and is still the biggest fail, and it should be abolished. Black people will never manufacture, trade, craft, or exercise their profession because we mostly need help either from the government or capitalist elites whom they will break or make you, and millions are broken during the making. Adding to that is BEE. It would have been relevant if it was a private-owned organization that assists aspirant individuals, rather more effective assisting corporates. Other than that, it is assisting the sons and the daughters of the black elites. I hope you are now saying I'm talking shit. Again, you are like, what about the investors? We will fall deep in the junk status. It's okay, we will rise again. I'm aware of investors. I'm aware that people worked hard and accumulated whatever they now own. On this note, I guess the investors and anyone who will be affected have to understand where we come from and where we are going. If not, let them go. And if our economy collapses, United Nations will have to return the favor. We help other countries to stabilize their economies. If maybe people like Mutsebe are investors, in my view, is not. Just fortunate person whom our country cannot fall short if he pulls off wherever involved. Taking all this into consideration, robust policies got to be drafted to address the issue of expropriation and nationalization despite the investors. The land shall be shared among those who work it. This is no longer about those who work it or to be redivided. No. The government must take the land, urban or rural, and work it. Remember, we are government. Land got to be expropriated to its entirety to a point whereby no individual can own a plot of a two-spot field. No land. I say again, no land to be given to the traditional leaders. ZZ2 and the likes. Free State Hestoni and the likes. True Cape and the likes. Not forgetting the game reserves. All this to be expropriated without compensating anyone. And be state-owned entities. That is expropriation. Wondering how? Please save my intelligence. I'm not versed in legislation. However, policies got to be enacted on how to run these entities. The expropriation cannot take place without legislative measure in place. And if that was a hold up all along, not knowing how to draft, I won't condone this government to outsource this exercise to Harvard for help. Mr. Yenas Karim, Mr. Raseredi Tau, Mr. Nechitenze, and all of you who got all the capability to run and lead the transformation in terms of drafting programs of this nature. Each and every province has a law graduate to be utilized in drafting policies pertaining the resources of this country, province by province. There is no way Univen law students cannot draft expropriation petition on wildlife species that has ever been captured by apartheid regime elite. That will start by saying no one or corporate is allowed to own a wild animal, and all game reserved, big or small, expropriated without compensation. The expropriation has to take effect in this manner, province by province. State capture is not only that of Guptas. There are provincial capturers, municipal capturers that you know, and it's about time we emancipate ourselves. ZZ2 and all other entities' names has to change to Farm SA, and management change entirely. However, system and condition of the resources to continue uninterruptedly. The same applies elsewhere. Government has to take control. People, we cannot feel or be intimidated by doing this, for how and what will the world say? The legislative sphere must go to work and redraft drafts pertaining the control of these entities and organizations that the government has to take charge. With the help of the graduates and the people at large, as how this to unfold without any reference to Zimbabwe or elsewhere. The Department of Rural and Land Reform, in collaboration with the Brand SA and other bodies not known to me and relevant to this, should go to work and see to it that it is possible and stop dealing with the trivial issues that of people staying in the farms are abused and challenges they currently dealing with, because in my view, people staying in the farms are experiencing torture every day of their lives. As a matter of fact, there won't be anyone staying in the farms. All the people who are staying at the farms, RDPs will be built, and those who have money, like those currently owning the farms, will buy houses like anyone else. The houses within the farms will be revamped and utilized as offices and storage facilities for the day workers. The security won't be that of Maluleka or Mdebede in a security company. No. It will be that of municipality like the CCT law enforcement. Transition thereof will be seamless, not infringe on the operation of these businesses. All shall be equal before the law. I wish not to insult those in this field, and my senses about this matter as is all money driven. Instead, I feel pity for black people who find themselves behind bars for petty issues. I only wish to state that police station commanders and correctional service commanders to be held accountable for lack of involvement. For lack of better words, our institutions are ugly and shady. Other than that, I would like to say to my fellow brothers and sisters, guard against the acts which will lead you to imprisonment. All shall enjoy the equal human rights. This concept has evolved to this age. Ages has passed, the Stone Age, the Iron Age, now socialization age. My friend, we have a constitution that attests to this socialization. Chapter 2, Bill of Rights. Let me speak to men on this. Equal human rights mainly point on equality between men and women. At the moment, even our country succumbed to feminism, or being a feminist state. June month, we saw a mass shutdown on Zuma to step down with no success. I bet if Makosi Koza could have had a backup from ANC Women's League elite, Zuma could have been out by now. Opportunities programs are made solely for women and a girl child to close the gap between men and women. A gap. Yes, soon a gap will be closed, then what? Let me tell you what. The manhood and the family structure is doomed. Since manhood is about building, protecting, and providing, in this instance, my dear friend, you will build what? Protect who? Provide what? Nil. I hope you are like, "Aye, this guy is mad." It's okay. However, the woman sitting next to you or in your life has the same rights as you in this age. She can build, protect, and provide for you. She can go out there, have boyfriends, and socialize like you do with the girlfriends. Don't threaten to beat her up with your locust muscles or kill her. She got the right to live her life as she sees fit. The list of things is endless. My friend, welcome this age with sheer conscience. This age doesn't recognize a man. Men used to have power over a woman in many ways and in many cultures and so forth. Not anymore. We are now equal. She can tell you what to do. She can fully decide for you. So my dear brothers, don't retaliate by force, petrol, or hand grenade, or strangle if you find yourself in these situations. Accept that our powers, experiences, manhood are useless and not needed in this age, period. By our inquisitive and answerative females, we are all equal, regardless. The death of Karabo Mokoena, Tembisile Yende, Dolisha Walala, and other ones I am not aware of should be clear to you that women got the right to live and be what they want to be. So don't cut the life short of a woman because she doesn't do what you want her to do. We are all equal. That thing of "I'm a man" is kaput. Let go. Go your own way. Whilst I'm at it, on a positive note, please South Africans, let's create a department that deals with the relationships and affairs. Department of Private Relationships and Affairs, and must operate 24/7. This is no joke. These matters of love got to be dealt with in amicable way. So centers got to be established and people report their private relationships and affairs amicably like they report for flu at the doctors. States got to be kept for one's relationships and affairs. Enough is enough. Even those who doesn't have a relationship still have to be welcome to report their frustration to reduce the rape crisis. The other thing I would like to mention under this concept is that there is a notion that the imperialists and the capitalists, backed by the police service, saying that some of the black areas classified as red areas, certain services cannot be provided because of a certain criminal act took place in that area. In this instance, I won't mention the name of the company. However, it cannot provide a fiber optic in Khayelitsha and in East River as it is dangerous. And yet, the very dangerous people in these areas are a major part of its clientele. There shall be work and security. Let me start by saying this. We cannot all work for government or the private sectors. And I'm not going to reiterate it. The malls that are built all over barely provide employment to the few and impoverish the masses. I'm not against mall building. However, I see no sense in building malls than building industries, craft studios for flea markets, trades, civic centers, or a cluster of government institutions. That will be much relevant. Now, let me further say that the question of unemployment in South Africa is embedded in the apartheid legacy. So, to address this issue, radical transformation is indispensable. Transformation can only be by building infrastructure of world-class entertainment for all ages in each and every municipality, accessible to the public for utilization and exploration. Building the industries within the black community by funding corporate entities or by an elite for the community, by working hand in hand to build this country. The teenagers and adults from our community to be encouraged to perform and compete in various sports codes. It can not only be soccer that we all love and support. We got to establish events like FIM, SBK, TT, Isle of Men, Signature Series events, Formula One in this country, and other activities that you know and can be beneficial to the country for both men and women than just all one job of work rather than creating job profession out of our hobbies. I propose a comprehensive motorsport race courses in our provinces. The comprehensive arena that can hold Olympic activity to its entirety in Khayelitsha next to Court or Graceland before that land is being grabbed or utilized for what it has been earmarked for. As a matter of fact, each and every province should have a sports arena that can hold Olympic games, that we can see competition at the first glance by competing locally. Education has created a stigma that the people of this country don't value their capabilities or potential in every aspect that they may excel, and break the notion and the norm that only those enrolled at the universities or sons and daughters of elites are privileged to follow and excel in sports codes. I don't undermine education in any way. However, the same education is the one that creating segregation and nepotism. This can be felt in government departments, worse in the private sectors. There are a lot of people who worked in a department institution years and yet cannot afford to buy a house or a car. Whereas the top structure of the same institution who happen to work there for a year or two, he or she is earning million with benefits. you know the benefits. Regardless, these people are contributing to the same department. People, this too got to change. I don't say people has to earn the same. However, I'm saying pilot is earning 2 million with benefits and the cabin crew in the same department earn 20,000 per annum with no benefits. I call. When talking of closing the ranks, this is what should be reviewed. The 3,500 scale that ANC has proposed or implemented is like a stock switch, an insult to the disadvantaged. There shall be houses, security and comfort. Here I would like to say no to land grab. And to the building of RDP, I wish they can be built in a sophisticated manner, close to the cities, not to spread away from the cities. The government clear the land up and build bond houses and offer people at affordable bond rate, not this monopolistic slavery bond scheme we black people are now enslaved. Not forgetting to scrape off the bonds of everyone earning less than 20,000. The selling of RDP and renting of RDP houses to be abolished at all cost. If the person no longer in need of the property to be taken back to the state and allocated to someone else. As a matter of security, I just want to say the government has failed us in a manner that cannot recover the damage. The border crossing and influx of the foreign nationals in the country made a massive impact to the economy of the country and put the country again on a xenon light. From dealing with the apartheid regime to the xenophobic attacks. As of security again, allow me to show you this. The border security estates of our elites and the borderline security of RSA, and decide for yourself. What will happen if a person, he or she enter one of our estate and RSA through the borderline? RSA now is jam-packed with the foreign nationals, and I'm certain statistics, SA, don't know how many are in the country and on what basis. Yet they run cash and carries, spazas, hair salons, brothels, internet cafes, haircuts, drive meter taxis, work in the farms, and hotels, as if all these were scarce skills. I agree with the notion of a visa system to all the foreign nationals that is not renewable after 5 years. Meaning if the person comes in the country as a doctor or an engineer in a certain field, within 5 years South Africa should have a person with such skills to close the gap. The old policy of automatic citizenship to be scrapped off. To the ward councillors, please build crashes for our kids. Each and every ward should have a comprehensive crash, not just a 4x4 square building with waterless ablution block. The existing crashes, renovations are imperative. That goes to municipal councillors too. Please build or revamp primary schools and high schools. These facilities should be conducive place to be for our kids, not place to pass time so that they can come home to watch Channel 101. Premiers, I call upon you to build some comprehensive old age cottage in provinces for the black aged brothers and sisters, orphans and disabled. I use comprehensive literally so for the government not just to build. It's not me, it's a freedom child. Look at this disabled house in Khayelitsha compared to the gym in the same area and decide for yourself. There shall be peace and friendship. South Africa is a peaceful country that is now being exploited by everyone for the sake of the clause, everyone who lives in it. I thank you.